Hello, everyone. Welcome to IT Tech Talk. I'm your host, Joel Ward, and with me is Mayor Keller. How are you doing, Mayor?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me.
Good. You're welcome. Do you prefer Emily, or can I just call you Mayor?
Emily's fine. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know if there was like a way you should say it, especially since you're a governing position.
Thank you. Emily's good.
You're welcome. Okay, Emily, it's great to have you on the show. So, Emily, I just real quick, I like to do this to all my new guests. I'd like to ask a background about your life and your history. Just what got you started into where you're at, and I think I haven't asked it yet. But what your business was?
Yeah.
I don't. I've looked for. I don't really know what you did as far as entrepreneurship, but I'd love to hear it. So let's dive into that first.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised here in Hagerstown, graduated from South High in 2004. And then about 7 years ago, I own a farmer's insurance agency. So that's what I do. Yeah, I'm an insurance agent. We do all types of insurance other than health. So we are celebrating our 7th year right now. So yeah, it's been good. I mean, I got involved in the community that way and kind of saw things from a different perspective. My family owns a small business, so I knew what it was like from their perspective, but actually doing it yourself and attending the meetings and networking in the community, I kind of just started looking around and saying, like, local government, I had never paid attention before. Unfortunately, I wish I had, but I hadn't. And when I looked at our elected officials here in the county, it was all mostly old men. And so back in 2016, I thought, all right, well, we need women, first of all. We need younger people. And I thought if I could run and really inspire people to get involved and participate, that I would. So ran initially for city council in 2016, and thankfully I won and I got to serve in that role. And then ran for mayor in 2020, and here I am.
And for those who don't know, Emily is the first female mayor of Hagerstown. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yes.
That is really awesome. That is a big milestone for the city. I actually grew up in Smithsburg, if you're familiar with Smithsburg.
Yes.
And I moved to Waynesboro after I got married the first time, and I ended up just staying in PA for some reason. But there's a part of me that still loves the Maryland line because my family's from Maryland. We grew up in Maryland. So, Emily, I'm so that is so awesome. Like that you ran and so you went from councilwoman to mayor. So let's dive into it. So what made you want to go to mayor? Why not just stay as a councilwoman?
So it was honestly a really, really tough decision. Like, people were encouraging me to run for mayor. And then my daughter, she's 13 now, but she was 12 at the time, knew that if I was elected, I would be the first woman mayor. And she really, really wanted me to do that. And how do you tell your kid no,
Awesome. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, though, the council has the vote. So the mayor it's a weak form of government. So by running for mayor, I'm losing my vote. So I had to make a decision if that was worth it or not. But I think I'm a strong enough leader to help, guide the council. And also we're kind of the figurehead for the city. And I think Hagerstown really gets a bad rap. There's a lot of negative headlines. There's a lot of like just negativity online. And I wanted to be the person to turn that around, because I get to see the good in this community every single day. And we are so much better than those negative headlines. So I thought, all right, if I can go and spread that positivity and start really showing people the other side of Hagerstown, we can start to turn the tide of those negative Nancy's.
Yes. So did you, and this is not on the question sheet, but I want to ask it. Did you play a key role in the new theater upgrade? Because that place looks beautiful.
It is beautiful. I wish I could say I played a key role. I did not. I mean, we did vote. My administration in 2016 voted to financially support it. But I'll tell you, the Maryland Theater Board of Directors, they went on a capital campaign and raised millions of dollars. I mean, they just did such an incredible job. And thankfully, Governor Hogan committed a couple million from the state. The county committed money. The city committed money.
Awesome.
So it was a group effort, but we are blessed.
It is a very beautiful,
yes.
It's a very beautiful building. I haven't gotten yet to go inside. I'm hoping now that COVID's kind of slowing down, I'm hoping that I can go see a show, or if the symphony comes, I would love to see that. I'm a big symphony guy myself. So, so what exactly drives you as a woman in leadership? Like, what makes you go from entrepreneur to councilman? What drives that? What drives the spirit? Is it, you said your daughter drove you into like wanting to be the first woman mayor, and that's great because you know that leads her into being the next leader of her of her generation. So what drives you? What's your driving force? Is it your family? Is it your just overall spirit? What is it?
So I'd say my family definitely has always been my biggest support system. One of the biggest reasons I ran for office in 2016, one was the diversity issue and the lack of women and the lack of young people. But the other one was the drug epidemic. At the time, my very best friend was struggling with a heroin addiction, and it was the most terrible thing to watch for years, this drug just take a grip on her. And I'd heard like the negative comments and the stigma around drug addiction. And I was tired of it, quite frankly. So I decided I wanted to run for office and use that as my passion to try to help people and provide more resources in Washington County and in Hagerstown. And when I ran in 2016, that's really the only issue that I talked about. And I shared her story. And unfortunately, her addiction cost her life in July of 2016. Thank you. But honestly, it was kind of like the fire lit then, because I made her a promise and I needed to fulfill it. So I think about her every day, and I try to help people. We do Narcan distribution in the community. I'm the co-chair of Washington Goes Purple to try to educate our youth against the dangers of prescription pills and drugs. So that really keeps me going. Now there's a million other reasons why I love being in office, but my heart is in it to help people who are struggling with addiction and mental health. And thankfully, I get to do it from a couple different perspectives.
Yeah, and this isn't on the question sheet, but I want to try and fill the slot. And since you've touched on this, do you actively do this, the drug addiction thing? Do you outreach with Brooks House at all? It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. Brooks House is one of my passions. I do a lot of outreach with Brooks House as far as like our church goes and stuff, Lifehouse Church. And do you do outreach with all the different organizations within your community, or do you just stick with what you're doing now?
Yeah, Kevin and I have a great relationship. He's a great guy, and the girls there are incredible. They help us with Washington Goes Purple. They help us volunteer. I don't know if you saw downtown Hagerstown over the last 3 years in September, but we wrap purple rope lights with in memory or an honor signs. So that's all of us. We volunteer to do it, and the Brooks House girls come and help us, and some different projects we do with the school they interact with and everything. So we all have really great partners for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, and Kevin's a great guy. We love the Brooks House girls. There's a couple girls I still stay in contact with that help serve at church, and I encourage them every day to stay sober and stuff. Yes. I lost my uncle to alcoholism, which in its own form is a drug.
Absolutely.
And so it's been passionate about me to help serve the community back in my area and in Hagerstown as well. So touching on this. The community, there's a lot of small businesses popping up downtown Hagerstown. I've been through and I've seen it. Like Cannon Coffee is one of the places that my church is really big into. But there's a lot of small businesses up. Are you doing a lot of initiatives to help small businesses right now? I mean, I know it's not on your agenda, but is it one of the things that you're pushing for, like, to help boost the economy in the area?
Absolutely. Our economic development department here in the city is just on point. We just are in the middle of a pandemic and just went through what we went through in 2020, and our economic development department was just acting like nothing was wrong. I mean, they were still, providing incentives and growing businesses and helping partner with them. Of course, we have lost some businesses, unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we do offer a lot of businesses incentives, small incentives and big incentives. It depends on, what type of business you are, how many employees you're bringing, but that is something that we do very well here in the city, and constantly encouraging growth.
Awesome. Yeah, I've seen, and even with the theater build, I've seen exponential growth downtown. And it's weird because, like you said, like it seems like nothing affected you guys, whereas some of the other towns, including Waynesboro, where I live, we saw like businesses getting hit pretty hard. Whereas whenever I would go to church on a Sunday, especially when COVID started slowing down, I was like, it doesn't even seem like there is some businesses gone, but it doesn't seem like you guys were affected much. And speaking of that, like, so COVID, what was your initial, like, what did you do to, like, stop? Like, I mean, did you shut down business? I'm not really in the know about Hagerstown. What happened? Did you shut things down as far as, like, businesses, or did you keep them semi-open so that you could keep the flow of the economy going?
So Unfortunately, local government, city government didn't have a say over what happened. Now, we had a say internally with Hagerstown city staff, and we made sure they were taken care of, and we have preventive measures. But the governor set the mandates in place, and then very recently allowed government, county government, to make other decisions, but we had to follow what the governor did. So a lot of places were shut down for some time, not completely. Restaurants were still allowed carry out and things like that. They allowed liquor carry out. So they made adjustments to try to help the bars and restaurants survive. And then, like my insurance agency, we continued working from there, but we required masks, appointments, that type of thing. So fortunately, from a governmental standpoint, though, we didn't have a lot of say in it.
Yeah, it's been rough for a lot of people, and it's been a struggle because I had a couple friends lose, and they live in PA, but they lost their businesses because the shutdowns really caused their it was their livelihood, and they had to get full-time jobs at Amazon warehouses and stuff, which has been it's been kind of hard. That's another thing I want to touch on real quick. The Amazon warehouse that's going in your city is going to be a major boost to the economy. Is it concerning that it's going to be a big company coming in? Are you looking forward to the partnership with the city?
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to the partnership. North Point Development, that's doing that entire development over there. They build kind of the big warehouses, and then they contract different companies to come in. So Amazon, of course, is our big one right now. Amazon's bringing about 500 jobs, but the total project itself is going to be about 1,500 jobs. It's huge for our area. Now, I have to say, I'm a big supporter of small business. I'm big on shopping local and making sure we're shopping local and buying everything that we can locally. We got to support our mom and pop shops. But the reality of the world is e-commerce is taking over. And it's a trend I don't see going away anytime soon. So I am thankful for the jobs and the investment. I mean, that's a $158 million project that's happening on Basil Boulevard. So that's a big deal. And it's a big deal for our tax base too, which helps everyone.
Yes. Now I know this is probably something I should ask closer to the beginning. How do you manage a family life with all this going on? I mean, you got your daughter and stuff. How do you manage a social calendar, or do you kind of squeeze that in with being mayor?
So I'm really lucky because I do own my own business. Honestly, I don't know how, because this is not considered a full-time job. It's not paid as a full-time job. It's not considered a full-time job. It is a full-time job. I can tell you that. If I didn't own my own business and couldn't be flexible with my hours, I don't know how anyone could do this job well. Right now I'm here in my office in City Hall because I work from here on Tuesdays. It's when we have our council meetings and stuff. But the rest of the week I'll work for my insurance agency and then pop in and out as I need to. So I always definitely make time for family. I try to cook dinner every night. Layla is a speed skater, so after practice we try to unwind and we're watching the Walking Dead series right now. So that's a night we'll fit in an episode, and it's kind of our relaxing mom-daughter moment. So it's definitely a balancing act. But I try to make Tuesdays as crazy as possible, back to back meetings. That way the rest of my week can look a little more normal.
That's perfect. Yeah, I have two businesses that I run. I have an IT and marketing business. I have a full-time job working for my father, who owns his own company. I have 2 kids, one on the way.
Oh, congratulations!
I have a wife who's constantly needing my. Thank you. I have this podcast, which is now been taking up a lot of my time. So I understand. I try and do as many meetings back to back for podcasting episodes.
Yes.
And then push them all out. So this episode for those who are tuning in, this episode, even though I said was airing on Tuesday, will be airing on Friday. So you were probably hearing this Friday just because I'm going to be away from the office. So for those tuning in, this episode was supposed to air Tuesday, but since I had to take an emergency trip, this is airing Friday. So those who are tuning in,
the life of a business owner, right?
Yes. So I want to touch on this, and I'm going to touch on this out of order. What are your major goals as mayor while you're in office? What are your goals to like achieve? I know you're talking about opioid crisis, small businesses. What are your major goals? Like, what do you want to achieve besides opioids and small business?
So we are putting out a RFP, a request for proposals for an indoor turf facility. A lot of our families travel. They do travel soccer, travel lacrosse, travel, insert sport name here. And we lose out on that because our families are leaving on the weekends and going and competing other places. So we are looking to build an indoor turf facility here in Hagerstown at the old municipal stadium property. I think that will really be a huge win for our economy, also for our families and for tourism, because people will travel here for tournaments, whereas right now they're leaving the community. Another thing we're doing, we're going to break ground on very shortly, and we're actually voting on tonight, is a skateboard park. For so long, Hagerstown and Washington County really has not have a skate park, and so we're building an any type of wheels skate park that'll be open at our fairgrounds park, and we're really excited about that. I think a densely populated community like ours, you have to give the kids opportunity for something to do, or else they're going to get into trouble. And we do have an ice rink, we have a great fairgrounds, but really catering to the youth, because I think that's how you change the future. Obviously, they are our future. So those are two big projects that we're working on that I think are going to just be game changers here locally.
Nice. Now, I'm not gonna. This is. I don't know how to ask this. As a younger woman in the being in leadership now, are you having any pushback from the older generation in the council and anything? Or are you able to get things through that you want to initiate?
So there is a difference for sure of me being a woman and being in room full of men. With my council, absolutely not. We all have a great working relationship. We get along great. And actually, this election was historic for many reasons. I'm the first woman mayor, but we also have 3 council women, 2 of which are African American, and that's never happened here in the city. So we have 2 men, 3 women, 2 African American women, and so it's like you look at our council and it reflects the diversity of our community, which has really never been the case. I will tell you, women, we get treated different than men do. I think would like to think I'm a good enough leader that I'm still accomplishing what I want to accomplish and make sure people are respectful. But definitely, even the way the public talks about me, the internet trolls that online that can be very difficult. They talk about my hair, they talk about my weight, they talk about it's just things that if I were a man, you wouldn't be talking about my hair or my weight or things like that. So that part of it and being a woman in leadership, it can be difficult. You definitely have to have thick skin.
Well, and you know what, and I think of this as because I have a daughter, seeing a woman who stepped into a position that literally went really in her favor, it means that my daughter has a chance to be a councilwoman or a mayor or a governor or even in her school as a teacher. Women getting positions and roles in leadership is good, in my opinion. It's been a problem for a lot of other people, but I see it as a good thing because it steps up for the younger generation. They see that, I can do this. Like if she can do it, I can do it, and it proves to your daughter that everything is possible. Yes. So that's really awesome, and the fact that we've got diversity. I'm a huge fan of Frederick and Hagerstown and Waynesboro and Harrisburg and stuff. And so it's like my surrounding area. But like seeing that somebody can step into shoes and make things diverse, and we've got the diversity in town, that's great because a lot of times we have things that have been set in stone, and I think my town, especially Waynesboro, has been stuck in the same thing for a long time. And seeing that Hagerstown's diversifying and changing has been a blessing because when I actually was like watching the results roll in for your win, and I was just like, oh my goodness, like this is historic, like this is the first woman mayor, like that's awesome. So I was like on your side rooting, and there's a lot of things that like I tell people all the time. There's things that I don't stand for politically and things I do stand for, but the one thing that I do stand for as an equality thing is that women should have roles in leadership and government and things. I do believe that as a thing.
I always joke that I was sent here to destroy the good old boy club. That's
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that because sometimes the good old boy club has some rules that need to be changed because they aren't appropriate for today's time. Well, Emily, so we've talked about your goals. Let's talk about your business for a second. So you're an insurance person. Why did you get into insurance? What made you want to do insurance? Like, I would think that would be a racket if anything.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, about 8 or 9 years ago, a friend of mine was opening a State Farm agency. He was actually competing for a book of business with another agent, and he needed good salespeople. And he asked if I would be interested. And at the time, I was young and thought, okay, this could be a good opportunity. So I got my insurance licenses, went to work for him, and ended up liking it. Insurance and banking are kind of two of the last face-to-face businesses left. Don't get me wrong, we do a ton of business online, but still people come in the office, they want to do business over a handshake, and I love interacting with people. So I actually got the opportunity to open a farmers insurance agency, which is, the second largest insurance brand in the country, but they just came to the East Coast about 7 years ago. And so right when they were brand new in Maryland, I had an opportunity to bring a national brand in my hometown and kind of set the groundwork for if other agencies open, I wanted to be the first. It's been great. I have a great staff, and I just really like what I do. Insurance is just a bill that they pay, but to me, I'm making sure that the things that you work so hard for are protected, and it's something that we take serious. And I really like what I do.
That's good. So, and this is just on topic about this. So can you give any advice to young entrepreneurs? I've given advice in my past, but what is something as a woman upcoming in government and a woman who has succeeded in bringing local entrepreneurship to your area, especially a big time thing like that? What is some advice you could give my listeners who are, I have a various age range of listeners, but what is something you could give my entrepreneur listeners advice on, like as far as starting a business and bringing it to their hometown?
Well, I would say, first of all, do what you love. And if you're passionate about something, follow that route if you can. And I always say, stay true to yourself. I have Shakespeare, "To thine own self be true," tattooed on my wrist, so I never forget. Nice. It's just something, follow your heart, and people are going to give you a million different pieces of advice and tell you how to do things and tell you what to do, but work hard and do it from your heart, and you'll never go wrong there.
Definitely. I like that. And I actually, one of my podcasts, I don't know if you've gotten to listen to him yet. You're a really busy person, so I don't know if you listen to him. But one of the things I like to say, especially my business podcast, it's not a business podcast, it's my business episode. I said people over money is one of the things. Is like if you choose the customer, the client, your community over the money you make, you will be so much more happier. Yes. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And that's actually kind of funny because my slogan when I ran for office in 2016 was people over politics. So same concept for sure.
Nice. Yes. Well, and I do believe if you choose people in your community over money, over politics, you can run a much better platform, a much better business. There's just so much more you can do if you choose the people you're serving over that.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about your family, we talked about how you manage your life, we talked about your business, but I would like to talk a little bit more business. What are your goals as far as like are you planning on rerunning for mayor? Are you planning on once that's up? Are you planning on just going full time and back into the insurance business? What's going on with that?
So I'm only in the first year of a 4-year term. So if I had to decide like right this second, if I'm going to rerun, I would say yes. Of course, I don't know what the next 3.5 years look like. I have a 13-year-old daughter who, is changing every day. So, I don't have political aspirations other than local. I get asked that a lot if I'm going to run for higher office. Okay. And the truth is I have never really thought about it. I don't think that's what I want in my life, but I do love being involved in local politics. I think this is where change is made. So if I had to decide today, I'd say yes, but I got a couple years to figure it out.
Okay, that's awesome though. So you don't think governorship is in your future?
I don't think so. No.
Well, hey, it's not for everybody, and I think Governor Hogan, he's done a phenomenal job as far as what he's had to deal with, especially given that he's survived cancer. Yes. He's gone through COVID. I mean, the man's really had to go through a lot just to get where he's at. Yeah. So as far as that's concerned, and you basically won an election, and now you had COVID hit, and you were thrown into a mess that was tough on everybody.
Yes.
And what are some of the steps you're taking to get people back to the normal? What are some of your goals to get things reopened? I know that Governor Hogan, you said he has started giving it back into the hands of local government. What are some of your goals to help local businesses? You said there's initiatives and stuff. What are your goals to get local businesses and the economy boosted again?
Yeah, we really want to go on a big marketing campaign when it's safe for everyone to come back out and encourage bringing back the crowds. Like, let's bring back normal, and let's really focus on supporting our small businesses, because I think that's something we did very well as a city over the shutdown. Was people were constantly online posting pictures of their food and saying what a great meal they had from this restaurant and encouraging people to go there. And we can't let that stop. My fear is that we're going to safely open everything back up. Things are going to feel like they're going back to normal, but then people are going to stop that generosity. They're going to, go back to really shopping online all the time, or not eating out as much, or not investing in the local community. So I think we're going to see a surge of people right at the beginning, and then we're going to have to figure out how to keep that up. And I think a lot of it's going to be marketing and just really bringing back a sense of community. We've all been so isolated, so let's get out, let's visit the events that we're going to have, and bring back the crowds as much as possible. So, yeah, we're definitely going to go on some marketing campaigns and just continue encouraging that same environment.
Awesome. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing, because I've seen one of my favorite restaurants actually to go to downtown Hagerstown is the Stoop. I love eating there. We actually have before COVID. Well, actually right before everything shut down, we had one last date night, and it was at the Stoop, and we love it. One of my old neighbors from Waynesboro actually works there, and he's a really cool dude. He always is taking care. His name's Steve, but he always takes care of us. As far as like restaurants go, I know this is not our topic either. What is one of your favorite hometown places to eat?
Oh, that's tough. I go for brunch on Sundays. I normally go to 28 South. That's like my go-to brunch spot.
Okay.
I love dinner there too. I love everything there, but that's been like my Sunday brunch spot. Rick's Cafe is one of my favorite.
Oh, yes.
And Los Amigos across from HPD. I've never had a bad meal. So.
Awesome. Have you ever eaten, and now this is off topic of my podcast, but have you ever eaten at Hoffman's near the airport?
Yes. Excellent as well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of my family's favorite places. Actually, my reception it was my after wedding rehearsal dinner was there, and I never had a bad meal there.
No.
So as far as that goes, marketing and getting things back up and running, and I'm glad to see the economy is still doing well in Hagerstown, because like you said, Hagerstown gets a bad rap, and it sucks because Hagerstown actually has some decent city to it.
Absolutely.
Like, I know people may give it a bad rap, but I've been downtown so many times, and I go to church in Hagerstown, and there's just so much life to Hagerstown that people don't see.
I think so too.
There's some great places like you said, like there's Rick's Cafe, which is one of the places that I actually just recently found and am in love with. It's a quaint little place. I love it.
Yes.
But there's the parks, there's the baseball fields, there's the fairgrounds. There's so much that goes on in Hagerstown that people just overlook, and it sucks because there's some great tourist spots in Hagerstown.
Yes.
Not to mention the Civil War trail that goes through there. There's just so much that people just overlook.
Yes.
And I think that you're pushing the initiative for marketing and making people come back to the town. And actually, I think what you did during COVID, where you had the restaurants in the streets where you shut down the whole streets like they did in Frederick, I think that was pretty cool. I didn't get to eat downtown during that time, but I think that was awesome. Like having restaurants out in the middle of the streets where you shut down a whole street where people can just sit and enjoy company. Because I know for me, and for a matter of fact, a lot of people were really upset that they couldn't have human interaction. And just being in the same room as another human, like even out in the streets, just sitting there having lunch or dinner around other people has been, I think, really helped the psyche of many people.
Yes.
So that was really great that you did that.
Yeah.
So, there's some changes coming to Hagerstown, I'm sure. What are some of those changes you can announce right now that are coming to Hagerstown as of in the next few weeks to a month?
So, we are going to continue the street closures. that type of
Okay.
thing going into the summer. And we are launching Imagine Hagerstown Festivals on the last Friday of every month. So we'll have some
Okay.
music and some food trucks and some different things going on. So the city's going to try to get back to business as usual as far as for public events as when it's safe to do so, but we're going to start doing outdoor things. So that'll be happening over the next several weeks. And then we have, like I said, the RFP for an indoor sports complex going out. Municipal Stadium, tonight we're voting on a contract with an organization that's going to book the field for like Little League games and high school games and different adult leagues and things that they can use Municipal Stadium for, have some events there as well, twice a month. So some good positive, feel good things going on, which I think we all really need. We all really need
yes,
right
definitely.
now. And you're right about the
Yes.
human interaction. I understand some people are still worried about coming out, and I completely understand that. I'm blessed enough that I was able to get vaccinated. I know there's a lot of people that aren't
Yes.
yet. So it'll be a slow process, but we're getting there. We're getting there, thankfully.
Good. Yes. And I seen actually one of your pictures, because I follow you on Instagram, about the old YMCA building. Is there any initiatives you're trying to get started to revitalize that building or do something with that building?
I wish. So we don't own it. It's not a city-owned building. It's privately owned.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not something. I mean, it's going to take millions of dollars to get it to code. It's been vacant for so long. And there were some issues in the past with a previous owner that just kind of let some things happen that is the reason he's no longer the owner. But it's unfortunate. One, it's such a cool old building. I mean, it could be made
I know
into
the
so
pictures
many
looked
things.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the original running track is still in there, and there's a basketball court and 2 pools, and just a really cool building. But unfortunately, it's not
The
something
building
the
doesn't.
city
Oh,
owns.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, the building doesn't even look that big, and there's a running track. I saw those pictures. I was like, how is that all in that building? It doesn't seem that big.
It's multiple floors. It's huge. It's huge. But yeah, unfortunately, that's not something that's owned by the city. But hopefully an investor with some deep pockets will come in eventually and make something out of it, because it's really a shame that it's just sitting there right now. It could be such a community asset.
It could be a great community center, like not just a YMCA, but like just turn it into a community event center.
Absolutely.
Where people can come and have weddings or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be really cool. Now, this is a question I want to ask you. As far as the structure that was when there was like a little shift and it started collapsing, has that been settled? I know you were in that structure as well, doing some tours of that to make sure everything was good. Is everything going back to normal with that building, or is that like a structure that is coming down as far as you know?
Well, we have are you talking about the one from about a year and a half ago?
The hotel, I think it was. Was...
Yeah, it's fine. It's not fine, but it's going to be fine. Hopefully by the end of this week, they have had it shut down since Thanksgiving, the whole road right there, for fear that the building may collapse into the road, and we didn't want anyone to get hurt. There is a professional contractor who's been shoring up the side of the building, and that should be done by the end of the week, so it will be structurally sound. We can reopen that road, and then the contractor will start on the inside. So as of right now, it's unfortunate because the tenants that were living there still have not been able to go get their belongings because it has not been safe to do so. But hopefully here shortly, at least the outside will be safe, in the next several days. And then they're going to get to work on the inside.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Emily, we are at our time. Actually, we're past our time by 3 minutes, but that's great. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and listening to Emily talk. I hope that everyone stays safe out there. Please don't do anything like risky. If you don't want to go out, don't go out. If you want to tour Hagerstown, do so safely. Wear a mask. But thank you so much, Emily. Thank you for joining me. It's been wonderful. I hope to have you on in the future, maybe to discuss different policies that are going on, or maybe what you're going to be doing for Hagerstown initiatives in the future.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. You're welcome. Hang on.